New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, the third-ranking House Republican, has denied any role in mainstreaming the so-called replacement theory. She tweeted a statement from a senior advisor that reads in part, "Despite sickening and false reporting, Congresswoman Stefanik has never advocated for any racist position or made a racist statement." But 20 minutes later, the House Republican Conference chair tweeted using the same language of racist ideology, claiming, quote, "Democrats desperately want wide open borders and mass amnesty for illegals, allowing them to vote." She followed that up with this tweet an hour later. "It is a fact that Democrats have been explicitly pushing for amnesty for years, specifically for political and electoral purposes." Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who Stefanik replaced, tweeted this: "The House GOP leadership has enabled white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. History has taught us that what begins with words ends in far worse. GOP leaders must renounce and reject these views and those who hold them." And Joe, you know, I took a few hours yesterday to watch and read the far-right, quote, news networks or websites or whatever covering this, and they completely mischaracterized what Liz Cheney said purposefully. They never showed her tweet, and they made it into something completely different. That's the game now.
Well, the thing is, you spew hatred every day. You do your best to get rich off of white grievance. You do your best to make black and brown Americans suspects. You build an entire network strategy around that. You build an entire podcasting strategy around that. You build an entire media ecosystem strategy around that for growth, to attract racists and people infected with white grievance. And then this happens, and you have to spend the next day going, "Oh, we didn't mean what we've been saying every day, what our strategy has been every day to get more viewers, to get more listeners." And they can't address it directly, and so they lie. But they've been lying about immigration. They've been lying about these issues for such a long time. I had asked, you know, it's very interesting. The big spin from the Trumpists yesterday was, oh, the Great Replacement Theory. Why? Liberals have been talking about the Great Replacement Theory for years. Whenever anybody says demographics is destiny, that's the great. No, it's not. I've been saying for 30 years, demographics is destiny, not in relationship to immigration, but in relationship to Social Security, in relationship to Medicare, in relationship to me saying we need to figure out a way to save entitlements, because we're going to have a demographic explosion as Americans get older. But it also has applied to the issue of America and the so-called browning of America. Now, here's the difference, folks, okay? Because you're going to be lied to over and over again, because these people have been caught. They've been caught using racist rhetoric to try to make money. What you're going to hear from them is that anytime anybody talks about demographics, oh, that's the same thing as a Great Replacement Theory. Oh, no, it's not. When you talk about demographics, what you're talking about is what's inevitable, what's going to happen. And by the way, the Great Replacement Theory, oh, that suggests that Jews, that suggests George Soros, heard that? Yes. A Jewish international banker, they will tell you, has this scheme, and it's the Great Replacement Theory. And he and this cabal of elites on the left are trying to make the country more brown. Here's the problem with that. We have been hearing in this country now, and a lot of you are too young to know this. I'm an old man, so I do remember. We have been hearing this for a generation, that there is going to be a change in demographics. In fact, I looked last night and I found this. A piece for Time magazine was written in 1990. William A. Henry III in 1990 explained the changing demographics in the United States, and the piece is titled "Beyond the Melting Pot." And this is what he wrote: "Someday soon, Surely much sooner than most people who filled out their census forms realized last week, white Americans will become a minority group. Long before the day arrives, the presumption that the, quote, typical U.S. citizen is someone who traces his or her descent in a direct line to Europe will be a part of the past. By the time these elementary students at Brentwood Science Magnet School in Brentwood, California, reach their midlife, their diverse ethnic experience in the classroom will be echoed in neighborhoods and workplaces throughout the U.S. All right, so I could keep going and reading, but the point is, Mika, the point is that there's no great conspiracy theory here. George Soros and international bankers and this cabal of left-wing people at secret society meetings aren't planning anything. This has been happening naturally since 1990. And there's just some white Americans that can't handle it. So they're white politicians who are trying to use this and make it as bad as possible. I do want to say one final thing, too, because it reminds me what's happening here, reminds me of what Anne Applebaum said was happening in Hungary. What does Orban do to seize power? What did he do? He talked about the great wave of Muslim immigrants coming into Hungary. The only problem, they never came. It was a made-up problem. And here you have Elise and you have all of these other people talking about, oh, there's this great wave coming in, and this is the Democrats. It's been their plan all along. I've said this a million times. It makes me tired to have to say it again, but I'm going to have to say it again because obviously there are some people that are listening to her and listening to other people on TV that are obviously just ignorant of the facts. Let me say it again. In my lifetime, Mika, and in your lifetime, and in Willie's lifetime, the lowest number of illegals crossing the Mexican border came when? At the end of the Obama-Biden administration. Let me say that again. In our lifetimes, in Willie, Mika, and my lifetime, the lowest level of illegal crossings across the Mexican border came the last year of Barack Obama's year as president of the United States. And this is the environment that they're going to build the wall. This is the environment when all of this anti-immigrant rhetoric rises to the top. At the very time, immigration is at its lowest level ever. That was a Democrat, Elise. Check it out. And you can even look at the numbers that Donald Trump's administration put out when he was president of the United States. They admitted it. The lowest level of illegal border crossings were when a Democrat was president of the United States right before Donald Trump came in.